Perched high above Lord's, old Father Time senses the wind of change sweeping across the home of English cricket. Lord's, in the grey grip of midwinter, is a far cry from the Caribbean sun and Barbados, the birthplace of Roland Butcher. At 27, England's first black Test cricketer has spent 13 summers in Britain, but still can't get used to the winters. Every morning, though, for the last month, Roland has been turning up at the indoor school for net practice. After 8 years of hard slog with Middlesex, he's finally won a place in the sun, and he aims to keep it. Last winter, Roland Butcher was out in the cold he hates so much, stuck here in his council flat in Fulham, looking for part-time work as a football or soccer coach. He wasn't even assured of a regular place in his own county side. In the world of cricket, he was a virtual unknown. And yet today, he's the one man who the England selectors believe can literally beat the West Indians off his own bat. Roland has always been a natural ball player, and early on, like England captain Ian Botham, had to choose between soccer and cricket. His career in representative cricket began in 1969 when he played for Hertfordshire schools as a leg spinner. Then, in the early 70s, he was enrolled as an MCC young professional on the Lord's ground staff. Roland's cricket philosophy is refreshingly simple. The game is played with a bat and ball, and if you can see the ball, you can hit it. His quest for a perfect technique is reflected in his other great passion, any film about the martial arts.
It usually starts off with, the hero early in his life being defeated by someone. He then goes away, spends years practicing, perfecting the skill in the hope of defeating the one that defeated him earlier on, and usually he does. So relating that to cricket, I thought I've had to struggle for a great number of years, and throughout my struggle I was always trying to get that perfect technique, as you say, and fortunately I think I have won that battle now.
But it's a constant battle to stay on top. His Middlesex and England teammate John Embury, an off-spinner, has spent hours testing every chink in Roland's armour. Being bowled at from 10 yards by his trainer to simulate the terrifying speed of the West Indians can be a painful business. But the bulk of Roland's punishing training schedule, which began in mid-October, has been in the gym. It's been supervised by the man Roland calls his torturer, Alan Sefton, former assistant football manager at Portsmouth, and now Roland's trainer, friend and advisor. Alan, just how intensive has Roland's training been for the Test?
He's probably trained harder than any other professional cricketer going on a tour. Suffered quite a bit and sweated quite a bit as well.
Do you think it's necessary for him?
Roland doesn't know what to expect on the West Indies. He's in a unique position going on the tour, and he's got to be prepared for everything. Yes, his position is unique, and he's certainly put in the work, bearing that in mind.
What about his mental attitude? Do you think that's benefited as well?
Roland at times has had a flabby mental attitude for his cricket, and we hope that this has been sharpened as well. 1, 2.
Before they met 2 years ago, Roland did virtually no training outside the nets. Alan's changed all that with a range of exercises designed to increase strength and mobility. Although only 5'8", Roland now weighs just over 12 stone, most of it solid muscle. He knows he's going to need every ounce of it in the tests ahead.
A tour to the West Indies is always a very difficult tour, but to undertake one in the situation that I'm in, that I've placed myself in now, makes it even harder. And I don't think it's every day that you get selected for England. So that made me realise, to take on that job, I have got to do the necessary training.
At this farewell reception given in his honour by leaders of the West Indian community, opinions were understandably divided over Roland's decision to play for England when by birth he could equally well have played for the West Indies. But Roland insists that he feels English. He says his home and his son's future are in this country. West Indian attitudes were best summed up by the High Commissioner for Grenada.
I hope he does well. I also think it would be quite unfair, and I would be somewhat hypocritical, if I did not at the same time extend my sympathy for he's been on the losing side.
From the public at large, reaction's been generally good-natured, but with the odd exception.
There's one in particular from, I'll start with the one from the war veteran. This old fella wrote a poem to me, really outlining what a shame it was to have picked a black man for England and so forth and so forth. And the other one was from a West Indian fella who saw this election as going back to the days of slavery, exploitation all over again. But the funny part in the letter was where he asked me how many pieces of silver I had been promised. That was very funny.
What sort of reception do you think you're going to get from the crowd out there? They'll murder you, won't they?
No, I don't think so. West Indies supporters, they just support good players, regardless of what side they're on. So if I can do well over there, I'm sure they'll love me. The ideal situation for them would be for me to score 100 in every game and England lose all the games.
So, along with Boyks, Zapp, Lulu, Chile, Guy the Gorilla and the rest of the England team, Butch is now packing his bags to do battle in the West Indies. If anything, the next 3 months are going to be a bit of a rest for Roland, away from the constant round of interviews and personal appearances, the commercial razzmatazz that surrounds a hot sporting property. It'll also be a welcome break from the unrelenting routine of training.
And Butch is as good as anyone, I think. He's got the shots, and I'd compare him with Richards and the amount of shots that he's got. And I'd just like to see him stay at the wicket for a few hours.
Do you think the bowlers will go for him, though?
I think they'll go for everyone.
So what's your greatest ambition at the moment?
Well, my main ambition now, really, is to get back to England alive.